Khan, shalom, shalom, akiyam. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, where I learned this 144% truth. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, starting with the 144,000 men of Israel, which consists of the servants, the prophets, whom have been ordained since the foundations of this earth to sing this new song, which comes in the form of this gospel, which will be preached throughout all four corners of this earth and rest upon the ears of the innumerable multitude, men, women, and children of Israel, who may be scattered throughout all four corners of this earth. Shalom. Hey, shalom, beloved Akim and Akwath. It's just Bayan back again through the spirit power, mercy and grace of our power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And I just want to do a brief update, on what's going on over in West Asia. The situation that's popping off right now between Babylon the Great, America, Israel, and Iran. And believe it or not, there's more countries being drawn in. The United Kingdom, Germany, and Spain, if I'm not mistaken. The EU is actually joining in the war. But needless to say, we understand clearly that this is, again, rumors of war. It's just the beginning stages of the Third World War. We understand that the MOTB must come first. All right, but we are going to measure the times diligently, as required in efforts to be able to correctly gauge the times that we're living in, man. But yeah, man, hey, this is right up our alley, man. This is exactly what we needed. We needed things to increase over there in the east. All right, this was necessary, and it's heavy. I got a video I'm going to share with you, beloved Akim and Akwak. Esau's been running the same playbook for so long. It's obvious that he's in the motions of regime change and resources, man. This is what it's all about. All right, this nigga is always on the path of being able to control resources and pretty much control the narrative on every angle. So this is what's pretty much going on. But he's in the snare. He's snared. All right, because Iran actually they're prepared for the schemes and plots and plans of the West. You see, Iran has leaders set up for the next go around, because they know how the West gets down. You see, old boy, what's his name, knew he was gonna get assassinated, man. He knew he was out of it. That's why he had several individuals behind him that come and fulfill his place. But needless to say, I got an article I want to share with you, Akiyam and Akwa, first, real quick, because what it's talking to, all right, is pretty much the MAGA, right, the MAGA regime and Trump's stance prior to this conflict. All right, and even further back than that, prior to Trump getting into office, there was a specific intention. Okay, we clearly see as he, established himself the second go around, right, and as things started happening, all right, he realized he can't stop the tensions between Israel and Palestine, and the whole situation. I'm sorry, the Ukraine, right? Ukraine and Russia, right? He couldn't stop the tensions with them. He was trying to play middleman, peacemaker. That ain't work. All right, and we got the situation going on with Israel, right? And the Iran and Palestine and them, and he can't stop that. He's doing the biddings of the elite. Period. All right, he's not, and this is what you people are finding out. All right, you MAGA supporters, looking stupid now. But I want to get this article real quick, right? Because what has to be understood, see, we understand and know that there's gonna be no peace. All right, there's gonna be no peace. All right, that's not the time we're living in, man. Esau's going out with a bang. Maverick, let me get this precept real quick. Real fast. Let me just get this real quick and we'll go right into the article. All right, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 48, and verse 22, and it reads, "There is no peace, saith the Lord Yahweh, unto the wicked," bro. All right, the wicked being Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man. All right, the man in charge right now, Job 9:24. All right, the man that's literally taking peace from the earth as we speak. All right, let's get that real quick and we'll get the article. How can you expect it to be peace, okay, when a when the individual leading the world stage is a goddamn warmonger and the harbinger of death? Let me see something real quick. There's no way there's going to be peace, man. Revelation chapter 6 and verse 4, and it reads this. And there went out another horse, all right, that was red. Horse represents power. All right, the red represents Esau. Okay, hence Genesis 27, upon his birth, right? Check it out. And power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword, man. And we've seen these Edomites kill each other, all right, from the time of the Spanish and French-American wars, right? You had the war of, what is it? The war of, I forgot the name, the war of, what was it? There was a war in the 1700s with the British in them, okay? You know, Edomite. And then Esau has been going around the earth, you know, just picking fights and colonizing and just blowing people up, okay? Because this is what he does. As it says, the last piece of this precept, which is critical, and there was given unto him a great sword, all right, showing you that this is talking about evil E, all right? Because evil E, he's likened unto the sword of the Lord, and he was blessed with the sword in Genesis 27. You see, and Isaac, which was Yahweh Shai, you can receive it, said what? He will live by that sword, man. All right, hence why we see what we're seeing right now on the world stage, right? But all this nigga's lies are catching up with him. All right, he's done what he's always done in trying to create a boogeyman, trying to have an excuse to why he's gonna pursue a reign of terror on somebody, man. But now, things that were spoken prior, the receipts are there, and I got a video, man. Esau done put his foot in his mouth time and time again. Esau's losing. And this is why scriptures say, is there no more wisdom in teaming, man? You know? Esau's just, man, oh, and there was another piece of information. This dude shot down 3 of his own jet fighters, man. Lowell and I'll do a lesson on that. I just found out about that today. In Kuwait. Dude shot down 3 of their own jet fighters, bro. Evil E's losing it. Let's get this article real quick, because I want to play this video. And I don't have the most time in the world. I don't have a lot of time. I have class not too long from now, but let me see something real quick. Here we go. So this article, again, this was pre-attack, all right, on Iran. This was on the 26th. So this is days before it happened. So there was talks of it, tensions going throughout the media. But check it out. So the title reads, this is from Natural News, all right, titled, dated February 26, 2026. Title reads, The Implosion of MAGA, all right, how Trump's march to war exposes a movement's betrayal. All right, again, as I was mentioning before, and as we know, prior to him, you know, part of his whole campaign was him saying he was going to stop the war in the East. All right, that's what he was proclaiming. Okay, but as scriptures tell us, pursuant to Lamentations. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go get that, but let me get a little bit of this article real quick. Look at introduction: a coalition of disillusionment. Okay, check this out. The MAGA movement, raw political power, which swept Donald Trump back into the White House in 2024, was never solely about the man himself. Its engine was a potent coalition of delusioned Americans from across the ideological spectrum, libertarians and anti-war conservatives, and working-class patriots united by a core set of principles and an end to endless foreign wars, a restoration of economic sovereignty, and a rejection of a corrupt globalist Washington establishment, which this was a dream that they were banking on. All right, because again, as we opened up with, there's no peace to the wicked, bro. All right, and the way that and the way Esau's story ends is with war. All right? The same way he was established is the same way that he's going out. All right? And economic restoration, you can forget about it, man. This is part of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai's plan to deteriorate this place, bro. Economically. There's no coming back from the debt. Okay? As spoken of in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, bro. The heavy debt that this place has. There's no coming back from that, man. Y'all people are crazy. All right? And as far as rejection of corruption, man, listen. Esau is the definition of corruption. All right? He's displayed that since his inception, since the Greeks, all the way up until now. All right? You better do your homework on them. You know, you would think they would know. These are MAGA, you know, cats. You know what I mean? But Esau's under a strong delusion, though. You know what I mean? Esau, as scriptures tell us, his pride has deceived him. You know, his terribleness has deceived him. So the regular Joe Six-Pack, they believe their own rhetoric. You know what I mean? So they're in their mind, they think, you know what I mean? Like, these things are possible. Nah, man, all you gotta do, tap into your founding fathers, man. Look how they got down. All right, throughout the time of the Syrian wars, you know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Deleting their own nephews, brothers, bro. Come on, bro. That's Esau. He ain't changed. He's worse. Pursuing the Sirach 12. Let's continue on. Right, the coalition is now fracturing at its foundation. Right. President Trump's aggressive march toward a potential war with Iran, and now we know this is not potential because it's happening. Again, this article is from the 26th. All right, so check this out. Marked by a massive military buildup in the Middle East, which is Western Asia, and ultimatums to Tehran, represents the ultimate betrayal of his base's deepest convictions. This moment exposes MAGA's brand as a hallowed vessel, captured by the very interventionist special interest forces, special interest forces, and once claimed to oppose. Because again, at the end of the day, all right, Trump is just a puppet of the elite. All right, there's things happening behind the scenes that you people don't understand. Okay, but we do. The Wadi Yahweh Shem Shai for that. You know, but the masses don't understand. There's things happening behind the scenes, man. This is theater. This is war theater we're witnessing right now. All right, this whole thing is a. You see, look at the movement finds itself at a crossroad, split between those loyal for a personality and those loyal to principle. As a senior advisor to Trump revealed there is a 90% chance the U.S. will strike Iran, and they have. All right, the silence from many once vocal MAGA voices is deafening, revealing a movement in disarray and an ideology hollowed out from within. And again, these MAGA members are completely, you know, they feel betrayed, man, for what this dude did. Because this is what he was speaking on not doing. This is what he was, everything Trump is standing up on the podium talking about right now, all right? Talking about, you know, X, Y, and Z is dead. You know, you got his boy Hegseth talking about if you threaten Americans or this and that, we will track you down and we will kill you. I'm sure y'all seen that speech. This is the rhetoric. This is the stance that the Trump regime is coming with, completely contrary to what they were talking about when he was on his campaign. Okay, so these MAGA members are feeling defeated. But watch this. I'm gonna jump down this article because I want to get that video. There was something else I wanted to get here real quick. Yep, right here. All right, check this out in this article. Right, the heading reads: "The ultimate betrayal." All right, from bringing the troops home to marching into Tehran, man. Okay, hey, and they got the whole the Strait of Hormuz. All right, which is where 20% of the crude oil gets transported so it can go throughout the globe. They got that locked down. They got that locked down right now, man. They're locking it down. You see, they put Babylon in the quagmire with that one. They weren't expecting that one. So you can expect in a couple of weeks the gas prices are gonna go up out here in the West, man. Just watch and see. But anyways, I want to get a little bit of this right here because let me see something real quick. Here we go. All right, now this reads, This confrontation is not being pursued in defense of American national security, as revealed by U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee's comments to Tucker Carlson. The administration openly affirms Israel's biblical right to vast Arab lands, a statement that lays bare the true beneficiary of this brinkmanship. And that land doesn't belong to either one of you, heathen. Let me just make that point. All right, you're the Gentiles that are trotting our land down until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. All right, because that land y'all over there beefing over, all right, that don't belong to the Arabs, nor does it belong to the small hats. All right, and that's gonna come to be a realization upon the return of our Lord Yahweh Shai. You know, as the Lord executes a eviction on y'all over there with fire. He's gonna drive you out of the land with fire, with missiles and chariot fire, the concentrated heat from them chariots. Right, but let's go. Look at the move is a stark sacrifice of American blood, treasure, and economic stability on the altar of a foreign nation's expansionist agenda. And they're talking about Israel. Watch this. This is not America first. It is Israel first. All right? Mirroring the worst instincts of the neoconservative deep state and the military-industrial complex that the MAGA base once rightfully despised, bro. Okay? What we're witnessing is exactly what prophecy said would happen. All right? I got to go get it before I get this video. You see? Hey, it's all about prophecy, man. Let's go. Jeremiah, the book of Jeremiah, it's all about prophecy. This is real quick, right? Jeremiah 49 and 20. And then we're going to go right to that video. Therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh, that he hath taken against Edom. Bear with me. Actually, let me just keep reading. I was going to get it in a different version, but no, well, let's keep going. And his purposes, that he hath purpose against the inhabitants of Teman, right, which would be the Germans. Check this out. And again, the Germans have stepped into this thing. The Germans have involved themselves, okay, into this war. As I'm going to show you when I get this video. Look, at surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Israel, the small hats, the least of the flock are going to draw out Babylon. They already have. Okay? Look it. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. They're both going to be eviscerated. Look it. The earth is moved at the noise of their fall. At the cry, the noise thereof was heard in the Red Sea. All right, because shit's going to be popping off in the east as it is in Western Asia. Let me go get this video real quick. Bear with me. Now, this is fair use, fair use. I'm not making any monetary gain. All right, off of this video. This is for educate. I'm excited. Forgive me. This is for educational purposes only. All right, and for the sake of prophecy. All right, this is fair use, fair use. Now, this is from Geopolitical Economy Report. All right, this is where I got this source of information. We're going to play a couple of minutes of this through the Spirit. And Lord willing, you beloved Akim and Akwath, I'll edify, man. Bear with me. Let me just turn this volume up.
The war that the United States and Israel are waging against Iran has rapidly expanded into an international conflict. The U.S. has surrounded Iran with 24 military bases, and Iran has retaliated in self-defense and hit many of these U.S. bases in neighboring countries. And now Europe is openly getting involved in this war. France, Germany, and the United Kingdom have all publicly supported the U.S. and Israel and have said that they're going to enter the war and support the U.S. that started this illegal war of aggression against Iran. I'm going to talk more about Europe's role in a moment here, but first I want to discuss a bombshell admission that was made by the U.S. Department of War, the Pentagon, CNN reported that in a briefing with congressional staffers on the 1st of March, the second day of this war that Trump started, the Pentagon admitted, I'm reading here from CNN, quote, Iran was not planning to strike U.S. forces or bases in the Middle East unless Israel attacked Iran first, undercutting the administration's argument on the 28th of February that Tehran was planning to potentially strike the U.S. preemptively and posed an imminent threat, end quote. So CNN is reporting that the Pentagon has admitted that this war is based on lies. When Donald Trump announced in a video he posted on social media early on the morning of the 28th of February that the U.S. had launched this war against Iran, he claimed that it was preemptive and the U.S. had to attack Iran because supposedly Tehran was threatening the U.S.
The United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime.
We now know this is a lie. This is yet another U.S. war of aggression based on lies. And CNN also interviewed U.S. government officials who said there is no intelligence to support Trump's claim. It was completely manufactured, like the lie that the George W. Bush administration spread, claiming that supposedly Iraq's leader Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, WMDs, and that's why the U.S. had to invade Iraq in 2003. Both of these wars are illegal wars of aggression based on lies. So now that we've established this very important fact, let's talk about Europe's role in this war. The governments of France, Germany, and the United Kingdom published a joint statement on the 1st of March, openly saying that they're joining this war, that they support the U.S. and Israel in this war of aggression against Iran. And they said that they are, quote, enabling necessary and proportionate defensive action to destroy Iran's capability to fire missiles and drones at their source. We have agreed to work together with the U.S. and allies in the region on this matter, end quote. Then on the same day, the Prime Minister of the UK, Keir Starmer, revealed in a video that the UK is allowing the US military to use British bases in order to attack Iran. In other words, the UK is now directly participating in this illegal war of aggression against Iran, which means the UK is now a valid target. Iran, under international law, has the right to respond and hit British military bases that are being used to attack it in an illegal war of aggression. This means that Europe is not only supporting this war, multiple European countries are now directly involved and complicit in waging this war against Iran, which means you should not be surprised if Iran starts to hit British and French military facilities because they're now legitimate targets. And multiple European countries have been working with the U.S. military in the 24 bases in the Middle East, in West Asia, that surround Iran. And the narrative we hear coming from Western governments is that Iran is supposedly this crazy country that's just attacking countries haphazardly for no reason at all. But in reality, Iran has a legitimate right under international law to act in self-defense. This is clearly established in the Charter of the United Nations. Article 51 of the UN Charter says that countries have, quote, the inherent right of individual or collective self-defense if an armed attack occurs against a member of the United Nations, end quote. And then it adds that the UN Security Council should take action in order to maintain international peace. But the UN Security Council has not done anything because the US has veto power, and the US is the one that started this illegal war of aggression. So again, Iran has a legitimate right under international law to respond and to hit these US military bases and also European military facilities of European countries that are now waging war against it. And this is why Iran has targeted U.S. military bases in Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Oman, Kuwait, Jordan, Iraq, and also Israel, which is directly attacking Iran. This is all legitimate under international law, and yet Western government officials and Western corporate media outlets act as though Iran is crazy and is just attacking everyone, not mentioning the larger context that Iran is acting in self-defense. This is the country that was attacked in the first place. And there are already multiple U.S. military casualties, and Donald Trump has come out publicly and said there will likely be more deaths of U.S. troops. But this is a sacrifice that the U.S. empire is willing to make because the U.S. empire is obsessed with trying to carry out regime change in Iran. In 1953, the CIA overthrew Iran's democratically elected prime minister Mohammad Mossadegh because he nationalized the oil of Iran and refused to allow U.S. and British oil corporations to exploit it. And then the U.S. put in power a dictator, the Shah, a monarch who ruled Iran with an iron fist until his brutal U.S.-backed dictatorship was overthrown in a popular revolution in 1979. And ever since then, the U.S. empire has been desperate to try to overthrow the revolutionary government in Iran to put in power another U.S. puppet regime. That's what this war is actually about. The U.S. empire wants to establish complete hegemonic control over one of the most geostrategic regions of the earth, West Asia, that has the largest reserves of oil and natural gas and critical minerals and many other natural resources. And it's extremely important as the U.S. wages a new Cold War against China and Russia and wants to encircle China and Russia in order to weaken them. But Iran...
And that right there is going to be the climax of what we're witnessing. Okay? When they end up going toe-to-toe with Russia and China and the assembly of great nations that are going to be with Russia. You see? There's going to be many more. There's the BRICS, right? And then you have the allies of Babylon. The Lord's going to put the spirit on them, man. To flip the script on Babylon, bro. And get her up out of here, man. Let's continue on.
Iran is a major country. It has 93 million people. It has sophisticated military capabilities. It is not a relatively small and relatively weak country like Venezuela or Cuba that the U.S. is also terrorizing and trying to destroy and invading and imposing blockades on. Unlike those countries in Latin America, Iran actually has the ability to defend itself, which is exactly what it's doing by hitting these U.S. military bases in neighboring countries. And Tehran understands that this is an existential war. The U.S. will accept nothing other than regime change. And Iran also understands that the only language that the U.S. empire understands is force, which is why Iran immediately announced that it's going to close down the Strait of Hormuz, which the U.S. government's Energy Information Administration, the EIA, has described as the most important oil transit choke point on Earth. Every single day, 20% of the global oil supply flows through this very narrow strait right off the coast of Iran. And Tehran responded to this U.S.-Israeli war of aggression saying, we're going to close this. No oil is going to go through until the U.S. and its vassal regimes in the Persian Gulf, these Gulf monarchies, and Europe, until they stop their war against Iran. And then Tehran will allow oil to continue to flow. And when I say that Iran sees this war as existential, I'm not exaggerating. If you look at a map of the areas that the US and Israel have bombed in Iran, you see that they're bombing many cities, not just the capital, Tehran. What the US and Israel are trying to do is bring about state collapse. They are systematically assassinating all of the political leadership of Iran because they want to collapse the government. They want to create a failed state like US-led NATO forces did in 2011 when they destroyed the state of Libya and killed Libya's leader, Muammar Gaddafi. And here we are today, 15 years later, and there's still an ongoing civil war and no unified central state in Libya. This is exactly what the US and Israel are trying to do to Iran, to destroy the country. But the Iranian government already understood this very well before the US and Israel launched this new war of aggression. Let's not forget that just 7 months before, in June 2025, the US and Israel waged another surprise war of aggression against Iran as they were participating in so-called peace talks. The Wall Street Journal admitted that the US was using these fake negotiations as cover to distract Iran while the US and Israel were preparing this surprise attack in what became the 12-day war. So after that, Iran learned that you cannot trust the US and Israel. Iran knew they were preparing another war. And this is why Iran's top political leadership designated 4 individuals for each major official in the Iranian government, a line of 4 individuals who could take their place if and when they are assassinated by the US and its allies. And this is exactly what happened with Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. He knew the US and Israel were going to try to assassinate him. This is why he didn't even try to hide, by the way. He was in his office in Tehran, in the center of the capital. He did not flee. He knew they were going to kill him, and he accepted that he would become a martyr. By the way, Khamenei was 86 years old. He had a quite long life, and he didn't want to just pass away in his bed. So he knew that he was going to be killed by these Western rogue regimes, but he made sure that there are several other people who can take his place. And this is true for all of the top officials in the Iranian political system and in the Iranian military. This is why the US and Israel think they can just assassinate every single top military official, but then another takes their place, because the Iranian government is structured in a way to ensure longevity and stability, to prevent the kind of state collapse that Trump and Netanyahu think they can just carry out in a few days.
Ultimately, it's of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, because prophecy must be fulfilled. Okay? So the West is not going to just be able to sweep them off their feet the way they think they're going to be able to do. No, times have changed, bro. Things have changed. And Salakia, beloved Akim and Akwak, I'm going to have to close out. I got class. Forgive me. But I'm going to have to leave you with this right here. It's prophecy, baby. Let me see here. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, and verse 28, and it reads this. Behold, an horrible vision, all right, and the appearance thereof from the east, man, speaking to Western Asia, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia, all right, shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth, that all which hear them may fear and tremble, right, man? So you got the UAE over there. You got Ishmael in them. All right, hey, trust and believe. This is gonna trigger. It's gonna transform into something the West would never have imagined, man. All right, and again, that's just the tip of the iceberg, because you still got 2 major empires in the form of Russia and China, with Russia, pursuant to Ezekiel 38, leading the charge to descend upon the West and Israel, man. All right, check it out. Let's keep going. Also, the Carmanians, which is talking to Iran. All right, look it up. Right. Also, the Carmanians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians, man. We're just talking to Babylon. Babylon, the great modern day Assyria, if you can receive it or not. All right, so this thing's not going to play out the way, the West is imagining it. A matter of fact, starting with the elite, because we know all wars are bankers' wars. You see? All wars are bankers' wars. And these niggas try to operate under the order of KO agenda, They're trying to make themselves seem as if, they can, there's a saying, they're going to bring this chaos and then come out of the dust like the phoenix bird in efforts to, bring forth this 4th industrial revolution. It's not going to play out like that, bro. It's not going to play out like that. All they're doing, all right, is accelerating their end. That's all they're doing. Because this third world's war is going to be the change. It's going to transform the world as we know it. Because we're going to step out of the realm of Esau's world, as it tells us in second Esdras, and we're going to come into the world of Jacob, bro. That's what's going to come out of this, man. You see? But I'm going to leave you with that, beloved Aki Amenakwal. Also, we also know, I'm going to say it again, the Charagma, the MOTB, the RFID microchip, Revelations 13:16, must be mandated. All right, that must be mandated. That must come first. But we know, obviously, with measuring the tensions over there in Western Asia and with the tensions of war, we can gauge, you know, how close that MOTB truly is, man. It's right at the door. It's right there, man. Jacob's trouble, it's about to flip, about to go, but man, it's about to go down, man. All right. So, hey, you already know, beloved Aki Amenakwal. I gotta leave it right there. And Lord willing, you were edified. Abaratazah, you were spiritually fed. And Lord willing, you were informed through the spirit, power, mercy, and grace of our power, Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai. And with that, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rechak, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone, where I learned this 144% truth. Hey, till next time, beloved Aki Amenakwal. Till next time, hey, Shalom.